So there seem to be some major changes coming with Disney Plus. Well, I don't know if major is the right word for it, but it's very interesting. Disney has decided to change strategy. Is it possible some other streamers might follow suit? We'll see. Here we go. With so many competitors in streaming right now, it's no small wonder why Disney is reevaluating their position and probably the way that they conduct business. And let me tell you, there's a lot of data out there that supports this particular move. If you're going to change up your streaming platform, you better be prepared to explain to investors why, and we'll get into that later in this video. But let's start first with Variety's intelligence platform article titled, "Why Other Major Streamers Won't Soon Be Following Disney Plus's Ad-Supported Move." Well, there's a lot of reasons for that, but I don't think they'll be that far behind. At least one or two of these that are mentioned are already subtly moving towards an ad-supported model. But here we are. A new ad-supported video streaming option has entered the chat. Well, that's a cute way to start the article. Disney Plus last week announced that it will launch an ad-supported tier domestically in late 2022. Believe it or not, we'd already talked about this. I told you this was coming a year ago. Internationally, they'll release it in 2023. There's no concrete price points or launch dates that were disclosed. Well, no kidding. Those are usually done at stockholders meetings or at a quarterly. And they do that on purpose so they can give their investors a little boost and maybe push the stock price up a few more points. You have to show value every time you have a meeting. And if you don't, it usually doesn't bode well, as we saw happen to Disney a few months ago at one of their quarterlies. But here we go. The move feels logical for Disney Plus, which grew at a more modest pace in 2021 compared to 2020. Well, no kidding. We are beyond the fear around the global crisis that we just had. Throughout the calendar year 2021, Disney Plus added 26.2 million subs globally. Before that, the figure was 68.4 million for the full calendar year of 2020. So, stagnation, or what I would like to call maturity. You've reached a maturity for this service under its current iteration, which is a subscriber-based model. I think Disney recognized this. They saw it coming, as I did, and as I'd already heard, they were working on an ad-supported tier. This is not a surprise to me, but as you can see here from the chart, you have January 2020 growth all the way through 2022 January, and you can see things started to level off. And the artificial bump from October to January came because of some manipulations, and we don't have time to go into that in this video, but we've talked about it before, and I think you know what I'm referring to. Anyway, moreover, Disney Plus's subgrowth in calendar Q3, of 2021 marked its lowest sequential growth since November 2019. Again, a matured market. Considering a handful of new services that have crowded the market recently since Disney launched, which includes Discovery Plus and Paramount, some had already been anticipating Disney to lean on a new, cheaper ad-supported tier for DTC growth. For example, Mark Douglas, president and CEO of the connected TV advertising-focused company MNTN, told this particular person from Variety in an interview in September that he anticipated Netflix and Disney Plus to have ad-supported price points at some point. Well, let me tell you, I told you a year ago that we would be seeing that from Disney Plus. Netflix is probably further down the road based on a statement from CFO Spencer Newman earlier this week that said that ad tiers was not currently in the streamers' plans. Although, if you look at their hiring practices as pointed out in this article, it looks like they're getting ready to do it. And let me tell you, wouldn't surprise me at all. There's even a venture capitalist that's kind of betting on it. As far as the prices go, you can see the chart here for the US major video streaming services, with Netflix and its 3 tiers, Hulu and its now 2 tiers, Prime Video with its 2 tiers, Showtime, Stars, Apple TV, Disney Plus, which they don't know the price for their ad tier yet, Peacock, which shows you what they do with their stuff, HBO Max is the same, Discovery Plus, and Paramount Plus. Now, a lot of this is going to be related to the available content, which we'll look at here in just a moment. But as far as these strategies go, at least for the companies that are doing both ad and non-ad, there's a reason they're doing it. And in looking at the way that these companies run as far as their strategies go for ads versus non-ads, you can see they're getting a boost in revenue. And again, like I said a minute ago, we're going to review that. Meanwhile, other notable streamers that currently lack an ad-supported tier are Prime Video, Apple TV Plus, Showtime, and Stars, which they don't really need it. Amazon, as they point out here in the article, really doesn't need to worry about an ad-supported tier, as they basically throw in streaming as a bonus. It's not something that people really go after Prime for. When they sign up for Prime, they get it tossed in, and that's probably the way it will remain. Amazon has never, as called out here in the article, regularly reported the number of Prime Video subs it counts, because it would be hard to distinguish, I would imagine. They have said on occasion how many people that are part of Prime have actually watched video content, but I think that's misleading, and I'm sure they probably see it the same way. Prime Video is not really struggling for reach or cash, they point out. Amazon announced that it had over 200 million Prime members, which get access to Prime Video in 2021. 200 million. So Amazon sitting on over 42 billion in cash and cash equivalents as the end of the Q4. So I don't think they're really too worried about it. Now, if you look here at the chart, US catalog sizes are something that really seem to matter. And Amazon recently acquired, as we talked about, MGM. Well, it's not finalized yet, but I anticipate that it will be, because the federal government doesn't seem to have the will to enforce the antitrust laws that are already on the books. But as you can see here, as far as catalog, Prime Video is doing pretty well. They have over 5,000 movies to offer and 2,300 television seasons. You have Netflix at 3,800 films to offer and 3,600 television seasons, and they seem to be the standouts when it comes to balanced content. Now, this will change, because right now Discovery Plus has 5,900 television seasons to offer. You add that to the HBO Max Warner catalog, and you have 2,300 films and over 7,500 TV seasons. They will be dominant when it comes to the television side of things. And with their access to the Warner studio and all of their content, I have a feeling that number of films will jump as well. I think that you're going to see a major shift in support towards the new Warner Discovery Plus channel, but that's not really what this video is about. And you already have Discovery Plus, you already have Hulu, you already have Peacock with their ad-supported structure. Now, of course, Hulu is part of Disney, and Disney is basically familiar with what they're able to do as far as the ads are concerned. So I think this was a no-brainer for Disney. I'll keep going. The next article we look at is all in support of why I think Disney's doing what they're doing. Behind Disney's Plus ad pivot, a drive for streaming profits. That's right. Of course, they use the little baby Yoda picture. Oh, he's so cute. Disney's reveal on March 4th that it would launch a less expensive advertising-supported tier of Disney Plus spurred consternation from some Wall Street analysts. Why? Well, they fear that that Disney was signaling that they were not going to hit their targets. At least they were worried that they wouldn't hit the goal of 230 million to 260 million subscribers in 2024. Well, no kidding. I don't think they're going to hit those numbers either. And it's never really been about subscriber numbers unless you were listening to some of the nascent some of the startups in the streaming business. They wanted Wall Street to focus on the wrong thing, rapid growth in subscriber numbers, when they should have been paying attention to ARPU. More on that in a moment. From Disney's own CFO, Christine McCarthy, you have this statement. Is this a Hail Mary? No, it's not. And I agree with her. She said that about the strategy shift on March 7th when she talked to Morgan Stanley ahead of their actual annual meeting, if I remember correctly. We certainly welcome it if it drives more consumers, which it will, more subscribers, which it will, and if it improves ARPU, which it absolutely will, which is what they're worried about. But we're really doing it because of consumer choice. No, you're doing it because you've reached maturity. And many of these other services have as well. And that's the honest answer that's missing from any of these executives at these quarterly calls. But I'll continue. In some ways, the move was a calculation or accumulation of robust debate internally at Disney that's been happening on and off for years. Again, I told you a year ago they'd be offering an ad-supported product in the near future. They did. But this goes back before the launch in 2017 under then CEO Bob Iger, revealing that the company was not planning to sell ads on the Disney service, specifically referring to interruptive commercial breaks. However, he added that the streaming service still was in development and that there may be some interesting possibilities in terms of sponsorships versus inserted ads. And he wasn't wrong. So you might see some placards, but I have a feeling you're going to see interruptive, traditional, linear television style ads, not just on Disney Plus, but on some of these other services we just talked about in the future. Ultimately, when they launched, which we're going back in time to November 2019, they did so without ads. But again, it's always on the table. A source familiar with the talks with Hollywood Reporter said that the price tag is going to be somewhat smaller at $6.99 a month with a smaller library of content, etc., etc. And they think that for Disney, for brands like that, at this time, no ads is the right call right off the bat. And there you go. But we're headed there. So the most important thing, and this chart points it out, top streamers' average revenue per user. Now, let me say, to start off, this chart, misleading. Why is it misleading? Because if you look at the data sources and what they're focused on, it is the ARPU for the US and Canada only. Misleading. This is the highest ARPU market that they have, the North American market. Hulu has an ad-supported tier. It makes $12.96. Of course it does. High revenue. In fact, it does this on a $7 a month ad-supported tier. So basically, it adds, my goodness, $6 a month. Discovery Plus is similar. Peacock is similar. Paramount Plus is a little below that, and ESPN is well below that. But we'll keep going. Earlier this March, the company changed its tune, announcing the Disney Plus would get cheaper ad-supported tier later in the year. The international markets would follow in 2023. So 2022, North America, 2023, outlying international service would get this as well. Again, going to drive ARPU down when you add in the rest of the globe, but it will increase it overall when you add in the rest of the globe. So I guess, little lost. But the reason ARPU is incredibly important is because in international markets, ARPU is down substantially, especially in countries like India, which we've talked about here before. Anyway, we'll keep going. You're going to get a few competitors that are already there, such as Paramount Plus, Peacock, Hulu, HBO Max. And you also have free offerings that we don't talk about often enough, like Pluto and Tubi. Of course, a lot of people use Pluto TV. So what spurred the change in strategy? In short, Disney is not only focusing on subscriber acquisition, which they never should have been focused on in the first place, in my opinion, but improving profit margins while also doing something its advertising partners have long coveted. Let me tell you, When you look at the numbers, there are tons of advertisers that want access directly to these streaming clients. A source at a media buying firm with clients that buy on Hulu and Disney's linear TV channels, confirming to THR that there has been significant interest expressed to the company in reaching Disney Plus subscribers, particularly on the Marvel and Star Wars original series such as the Book of Barely Fed and Lodi. Locally, whatever the destroyed Loki version is.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Let me tell you, that's another reason, and I've been talking about this for a while, why those shows were cut as oddly as they were in the time frame as far as length as they were. You don't think they've been planning this for a while? Of course they were. Executives at the company say the move was made to get ahead of pitch meetings tied to Disney's 2022 upfront, which will be held at New York's Pier 36 on May 17. Again, always tied to quarterlies. These things are always going to be tied to quarterlies. From McCarthy's own mouth, she said at the conference, "We have more demand than supply." In other words, they can sell ads all day long on this. They're going to make tons of money, finally, maybe even making the service profitable, which is the whole point anyway. And at least they will make one of their metrics by 2024, which will be profitability. Not, well, they're not going to make the subscriber number. 230 million, you're something's very wrong with you. And I'm quoting, "It is finding the balance between subscription revenue, and you want to maximize that for sure, while recognizing that there needs to be a way to that accesses more people." Of course, because marketers want access to scale, and that's how you do it. You actually had the early adopters paying for scale to begin with, and now that you've reached the scale and matured it, the next logical step is into a market that is ad supported, where you can increase your scale once again. At the company's 2020 Investor Day, McCarthy said the intention was not to have ads on Disney Plus, and we also know that's baloney sausage because of the length of the TV products that they made with Star Wars and Marvel, etc. So when you look at the Disney brand, the Disney Plus product, we have a very high volume of films on our service. Well, we looked at that chart a minute ago. It's not nearly what is offered elsewhere, but that is what it is. And we don't believe that the consumer experience would be a particularly good one if we had advertising on Disney Plus. So we'll see if they can actually manage to fix what's called the film experience with these ads, but we'll see. In discussions related to measurement, data, and automated ad buying processes, Disney demoed new movie-specific ad formats it plans to bring to its streaming service, a sponsored trivia format based on the film being viewed, and another called Let's All Go to the Pantry. Well, so I guess that's Let's All Go to the Lobby, like they reference here from 57. I think that's kind of cool. Anyway, I guess we're at the point of this where I say, what do you think? Because what I think is, I think that this was in the works all along. I told you a year ago it was coming, because it was, and here we are. I think that Disney finally realized they'd reached the apex of their growth metrics, and they needed to move firmly into a new model. And I think that there will be other services that will follow. I think Netflix eventually will, probably a year or so down the line, when it recognizes that it needs to figure out a way to be more profitable and produce more content. And the only way to go about that is to grow your audience. But do you think this is a good move? This is a question for you. Do you think that other streaming services will follow? I think so, like I just said. And do you think this gives Disney a chance to hit any of the metrics that they've been promising for 2024? I guess those are all good questions. Also, Do you think this will change how you go about purchasing streaming services, especially if you're a Disney Plus subscriber? That's a good one. I don't know how to answer that yet. I'm going to think about it. With that being said, utilize that comment section down below. Give me your answers. I'd love to engage in a conversation about this. I think it's an interesting subject, and I think since it's something we've talked about happening for quite some time, I think we've all been trying to wrap our minds around what it would look like from Disney, and it looks like we're going to see pretty shortly. Be sure to support other independent creators here on the platform, please, because as they present content like I do, they really aren't being featured, and of course neither am I, in any of the major algorithmic, let's say drivers here on this platform specifically, and maybe on other platforms as well. So your subscription, you hitting the like button, you taking the time to share out the content, and of course the engagement increase you get with comments, those are all really, really important. And it helps us defeat the corporate content creators who continue to offer you the same narratively driven content that is really pretty narrow in scope. So please do that. We would all appreciate it. And of course, I'll end the video the same way I always do. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye. Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.